these are any type of permits where you're having a function or an event at an unlicensed premises. We ask that you apply at least 15 days in advance. In the past, we have always tried to accommodate everyone who has applied for a permit. It's no longer possible with the volume of permits that we have coming in and the amount of time it takes to process them. We do not want people saying no to events, but it's getting more difficult to process, so we have been disapproving more. So we really need you to apply at least 15 days in advance. Some excuses that we hear, well, we can't get the landlord to sign. Send the application in anyway. As long as it's here, we can review it, we can always send a deficiency. Of course, we like complete applications, but for the one-off, we're not going to disapprove it just for being incomplete if it was submitted on time. So when you're applying on the website, you're going to, if it's a licensee, you're going to apply as the licensee's name. You have two choices. You can apply as an individual or an organization. So if you're applying as an organization, if you're a firehouse or if you're a licensee, it's always organization. The only exception would be a sole proprietorship. Please let us know that you are licensed. That's very important. This is information that we have to be aware of. We also, when you are applying for the permit, the landlord authorization that you have to submit has to match the applicant name. So if you are applying in the name of the firehouse and it's a benefit for the firehouse, that applicant name on the landlord has to match. A lot of times we got to try to figure out who the applicant is. Maybe the fire chief applied for the application, and we got to try to figure out who actually is the applicant. The permit should match whoever's writing the check to purchase the alcohol. Anybody benefiting from the permit, that has to be in the applicant's name too. We have occasions, especially in New York City, where we issue permits. There's multiple licenses at a location. Someone is applying for a permit. Please just tell us what floor, what suite, unlicensed area. Yes, we realize there's a license at this location. Just it takes a lot of research. Our examiners, they're brand new most times, and it takes a lot more to try to train them and look at. We might have to go back to an establishment questionnaire to figure out if the location's licensed or not. We do not issue permits to locations that are licensed or have a pending license. On occasion, we've done soft openings occasionally. Maybe we have a premises, a location that has, maybe they serve one type of food and the bride says, I really want my venue, I want my location here, can I bring in my own caterer? We've made exceptions. We do ask that the licensee de-license for the day, but please ask in advance. You can send an email to permits anytime. We'll get back to you.
And that's going to happen, and has happened, and will continue to happen very, very rarely.
Yeah. So the purpose of the permits is for a function, occasion, or an event. Not so we can pop up for 30 days over at a theater or a park or something like that. It has to be for limited functions, occasions, or events. They're limited to 4 for temporary beer, wine, and cider permits. Exceptions would be your non-for-profit organizations, as long as they're holding the event to benefit the non-for-profit organization. We do reserve the right to limit the location at any time if at any time we feel that it would be better served by a license. Caterers permits, there's no limit. However, we're kind of seeing now a trend where one caterer will go in and he'll apply at one location Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we're looking more at those. We do reserve the right. We cut off those locations. If they're doing it every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they need a license for that location. A caterer's permit. We're getting a lot of caterer's permits for raw seafoods, warehouses. So these caterer's permits, when you're operating under a caterer permit, you must be hired by an entity to serve both food and alcohol. And it's supposed to be a private indoor event. If you are outside, it must be tented. And if you could do pre-ticketed, pre-sold tickets. but I can't walk into that venue and purchase a ticket and allow myself in.
Now, and I just to that point, I can't tell you how major a problem that is in the New York City area. We get hundreds of caterers permits for what amount to block parties, that there's no food, and they just want the full bar, and it's in an empty auto yard that has nothing in it, and we end up with a forged landlord authorization form. There are representatives, and I'm not going to name anybody, who are submitting these things. That has to stop. It's causing enormous amount of time for Maureen and her people to have to review this, to chase down the landlord. We literally had a landlord on the phone who had no idea that they were going to have a party for 3,000 people in his auto yard, that wanted a caterer's permit and did not understand that they weren't allowed to have a caterer's permit because the law, not us, says what the qualifications and the obligations are under a caterer's permit. So if you're doing those types of parties, I would suggest you stop, because on their face they're being rejected.
For those raw spaces, we will ask for a temporary place assembly permit because we don't know. It looks like a big warehouse. It has to be safe for occupancy. Your security has to be real good, especially if you have an event for 3,000 people. We may ask for a contract. We may ask for how are you going to serve food. You're a restaurant that seats 30 people, but you're applying for a permit for this big event for 3,000 people. How are you going to serve 3,000 people? The purpose of the caterer's permit, the food must be incidental to the service of alcohol, so that has to be the main focus. The alcohol is not supposed to be the main focus. That's it for